Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories. If you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Well, let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Buckets of Drawings, who says, me 36 male with my 42 female of 2 years. I suspect she's up to some shenanigans. I've dated this lovely lady for about 2 years and she's meant the world to me. We've been two peas in a pod and I adore her completely. We've always had our week or weekend plans committed because we tend to travel quite a bit, so having these plans cemented is an important detail due to the arrangements I make for an outing. Well, several months ago she cancelled on me for a weekend trip. It was sudden and caught me off guard, but life happens. She had decided to go to a party with her friends. No big deal, and I told her I would pick her up at whatever time she called. I wished her a good time and counted on hearing at the end of the night. The end of the night comes and instead of a come pick up my drunk self, I got an I'm going to stay the night with my friend here. I was fine with this and said to rest up and have a nice night. When we finally meet up again a week later, something was off. My spider sense was tingling and she was looking everywhere but at my face while we were having dinner. I asked her if she was feeling okay or if there was something I could help with, and she said no, and that she just wants to go home. Something was clearly bothering her, but it was a secret and nothing I could say or do was going to let that secret out. Over the next several weeks, more plans of ours were cancelled and were replaced with her going to her friends to hang out for drinks. I actually tried to invite myself along to one of these excursions, but she insisted that I was going to be bored and to find something else to keep myself occupied. This puts me on full alert. It bothered me quite a bit because this had been happening often lately. I don't know what the next level of having a spider sense tingle is, but I was definitely on that next level. A week or so later, she bails on our plans again for our Saturday. She tells me she's hanging out with her drinking friend at the farmer's market and maybe her and I can get together later that night. Well, shucks. It takes me 10 minutes to get to the market and I decide that I should put on my investigation hat to see what's going on. I do not tell her I'm on my way. Upon arrival to the market, I take a look around and I can't find this girl. I look everywhere. I sent her a message saying, hey, I happen to be at the market too, where are you? My phone blows up with all kinds of questions. Where did you park? What direction are you in? What shop are you by? I gave her the details and 10 minutes later she's standing in front of me with perfume on. She never wears perfume. I ask where her friends are, as it would be good to say hi, and she tells me that all her friends left to get lunch. My question, dear Reddit, is how do I get to the bottom of this? What do I ask her? Am I imagining things or is something up? Am I reading things that aren't there? All the signs are there that we've seen in many of these posts before, but obviously OP is going to know his partner's true nature and if they're acting differently and how they're being and all this kind of stuff that's raising the suspicions here. But the dwarf says, so it's likely she's cheating and frankly I don't think you need to do any more digging. Even if she wasn't, her behaviour has been evasive and disrespectful, and yet she refuses to admit that and/or explain it. Your best bet is to just go tell her how you feel. You're incredibly hurt in that she is cancelling so many weekends on you. You have noticed that she is very clearly less interested in you than before. She denies it and you can feel free to walk. She's denying reality on top of invalidating your feelings. If she doesn't deny it, but doesn't change her behaviour either, then you've got your answer. She no longer values your relationship and it's time to put it to bed. What's interesting is that whether or not she is actually cheating is somewhat beside the point here. If you are no longer a priority in her life for whatever reason, then there's no real reason to continue to make her a priority in yours. OP says, it seems like quite a bit of advice is leading towards that she is up to something and that I need to directly confront her about it. I agree with you. It really feels like I'm not a priority anymore and I'm struggling right now to understand why. I'm really having a hard time contemplating walking away without a lot of good reasoning. We've invested a lot of time and memories together that it seems odd to walk away from. Evelyn Garnett says, and quotes, I actually tried to invite myself along to one of these excursions, but she insisted that I was going to be bored and to find something else to keep myself occupied. This puts me on full alert. It bothered me quite a bit because this has been happening often lately. I don't know what the next level of having a spider sense tingle is. It goes on to say, well, that's so dang magnanimous of her. Maybe next time she tries to block you, you should assure her you couldn't possibly be bored as it's the only shot you get to hang out with your girlfriend anymore. I bet she dodges the issue in an even more amazing ways after that. So your, tarantula tingle is onto something. OP says, I actually did try this tactic once on her and honestly, she did dodge it in a more creative way. But I was chalking it up to circumstance. She changed plans on me Friday to go to a wine tasting party. I thought that sounded fun, but informed it was a girls only club. I didn't think about that till now though. Sarah says, judging from experience, the pattern of behavior and time frames, you are toast. A girl that's into you will not suddenly and constantly seek to avoid spending what little time you can share to go out drinking with friends. Whether she is cheating on you or not, which I believe she either is or in the company of someone who she has a newfound interest in, maybe just tell her that's not working out and maybe you should start seeing other people to just gauge your interest. Some people are like monkeys. They want to swing to another tree but won't until they have both hands on the other branch. And one more comment from Decorum1 who says, if you were 20 years old I would understand your uncertainty, but really, she is monkey branching. Either she is chasing some excitement with another man and does not want to let go of good old steady guy, or she is trying him out for the next best thing. She will cut you loose. Not letting go of one branch until you have hold of another is the new breaking up among women, it would seem. Some might suggest backing off to see if she comes back to you, but for the life of me, I don't know why you would want her. You don't really expect her to admit to any of this, do you? She's just trying to make her best deal, then you are a commodity, or she is just getting some on the side to spice up her life, then you are a chump. There is no love involved in this. Don't be idealistic. Wish you well. Take care. OP responded to that one and says, I've never heard of this term monkey branching, but it makes for a good analogy, and kind of makes sense given her personality type of how she operates in other matters too. Never thought about this till you mentioned it. To tell you the truth, I do expect her to admit it. We've seemed to have solid communication about our feelings in the past, and she's a grown adult. I might be naive though. So OP comes back in to update the post and says, first off, I want to say thanks to the advice everyone had given. There are a few thoughts that resonated that I appreciate. Secondly, get your popcorn. This is going to be good. .jpeg.gif. I know we all like a good story, and this is somewhat therapeutic for me. This all happened a few days ago and it took a bit to digest everything. Quite a bit of advice was around direct confrontation and asking her what the heck was going on. After numerous ignored phone calls and text messages, she finally decided to pick up her phone. She apologized and said her phone died and she didn't realize until it was too late. I started in right away with that she had previously sent me a message nonchalantly that she just wasn't feeling it between us. After that message we talked and she said she was just feeling stressed and was taking it out on me. Understandable, stress happens. So my next question was this. Your friend had told me that you were seeing someone else. What's going on? Do you want to break up? Her answer, what? Who said that? Oh my god, who said that? Oh my gosh, I'm so tired of all these rumors about me. Who said that? She went on like this for quite a while. What struck me was that she was more concerned about someone ratting her out than the accusations. She assured me over and over that no, she did not want to break up and started making me feel awful that I would make these statements towards her. Didn't I know how she felt about me? That was saying this made her feel like I didn't trust her. I suddenly felt like the worst person in the world. She also pleaded with me to give up who it was that said this, but I wasn't budging on that. In the end, she said she was having an emotional, stressful day and just wanted to relax and we would talk later, maybe over the weekend. After taking in the advice from here, I felt like she was misdirecting. I sat there in a mix of feelings like something was amiss, and feeling awful that I just accused my beautiful girlfriend of cheating on me. I felt terrible. I sat for a bit, feeling like I just put this huge crack in our relationship. I love her to pieces. I needed to go apologize. I hopped in my car and drove the hour to her city and decided to get her a quarter of her favorite chocolate ice cream on my way there. When I stopped in the shop to pick up this treat, I run right smack into her daughter hanging out with her boyfriend. They're both in college, doing night classes, and just got out of school and wanted a treat. We were chit-chatting and she was going to be staying at her boyfriend's for the night, but forgot one of her workbooks and needed to stop at the house real quick to pick it up. After chatting, the daughter's boyfriend took off and we both drove up to my girlfriend's house. I pulled into the street because they have assigned parking at her unit. The daughter actually pulled up behind me instead of her own spot, and when we got out I said, "What's up? Neighbor took your spot again," as we walked up to the door. No, that's not my neighbor's car. I don't know if it's the way she said it or her sigh afterwards or what, but suddenly it felt like my heart just sank. I knew what we were going to find, but I was hoping for anything but that. Her daughter and I both shuffled through the door and stopped immediately in the entryway. We could just hear them. There was no mistaking it. You know the sound, rhythmic thumping and moaning with little exclamations of pleasure. The bedroom was right across from us. Her daughter looked at me with her eyes big as saucers and just goes, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." At this moment, it felt like I was living outside my body. It's hard to explain, but suddenly it was like I was just a person watching actions happen. I couldn't really feel anything and I didn't know what to do. Here I am, standing here with a quart of ice cream while my girlfriend is getting railed in her bedroom. I had no idea how to proceed. My whole body just felt like I couldn't control it. My daughter suddenly just screams, "Mum, what the fuck?" That sounded like a cross between a banshee wail and a fire truck siren. My girlfriend actually ran out of the bedroom, naked and all, possibly thinking there was some emergency. Maybe motherly instincts that something bad just happened. I don't know. She started to formulate words but fell silent as soon as she saw the two of us standing there. Eventually a stream of words fell out of her mouth. "Oh my God, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. What are you doing here?" She kept repeating it over and over until she ran back into the bedroom. I still stood there, shocked, still having an out-of-body experience. I don't know how much time passed, seconds or hours, it blurs. She came out clothed in her pajamas and was talking to whoever was on the other side of the bedroom door. My girlfriend, ex now, started yelling at her daughter and I about why we were in the house. I think the realization of everything was suddenly starting to hit her because she started crying and making unintelligible noises. The daughter starts to scream at her about "How could you do this?" and "You did it again." At this point, I had seen enough. I couldn't even look at her anymore. Everything was numb and my ears felt like they were ringing. My body still wasn't my own. I walked over to her kitchen table and put down the ice cream saying, "I know you get hungry after sex, so here's some ice cream," and walked out the door. She started sobbing, "No," but I just kept walking and drove home. That was a few days ago. I didn't go to work the next day. My phone has been blown up. I have not replied. For your reading pleasure, here are some of my favorite messages. If we had spent more time together, it wouldn't have happened. It doesn't mean anything. You know that I love you. If you cared anything about us or our relationship, you would talk to me. Are you ignoring me? Please. I have lots of pleases. If you cared, we'd be able to work this out. It goes on and on. Right now, I still feel kinda numb. I just don't understand how or why this happened. I gave this girl and her family so much and my all, and it didn't even matter. I provided for them when times were rough and did so much to make our lives good. I know I shouldn't feel this way, but I feel like I don't mean anything or that I can't make someone happy now. It's frustrating. I know I'll get over it in time, but it definitely hurts. I don't understand why or how this could happen. We were so good too. So many questions I want to ask her, but I'm forcing myself to not have contact with her and just going to move on. In retrospect, I wish I kept the ice cream. And after that, there was a comment from Lagazero who says, and quotes the daughter who says "You did it again." It says, "God, those words from her daughter tell you everything you need to know. Stay strong, man. If you can, block her number so you aren't tempted to reply, and if not, just maintain no contact." Opie responded to that and says, "Yeah, I kinda really want to talk with her ex-husband. A few times we've met, he's always looked like he wanted to tell me something but held back. I imagine this is why he's the ex-husband." And I noticed within those text messages that there was not one apology in there, no self-reflection, doesn't feel remorseful for the fact that you just walked in on her cheating. Absolute awful person, and I can't help but feel sorry for the daughter as well. And the manipulation tactics within the text messages, "If you cared, we'd be able to work this out." Surely, if she cared, she wouldn't have slept with another guy in the first place. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, one of our lovely users sent me this one over on Twitter. I won't name them just in case they don't want to be named, but thank you so much for suggesting this story. It's from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit from Tasty Watercress 190 and says, "Am I the arsehole for telling people not to eat the food at my sister's wedding? My husband, 27 male, and I, 26 female, were married 8 months ago. We had a big wedding with lots of food and drinks and people. I knew we would likely have leftovers, so had arranged for them to be donated to the soup kitchen we sometimes work with. However, my mum went behind my back and took most of it with her. I didn't really know what happened to the food. Until now. My sister, Callie, 30 female, got married over the long weekend. She didn't want to mess with any of the planning, and knowing how my mum was during my wedding, decided to let our mum take over the whole thing. All we had to do was show up where we were told and party. The ceremony was beautiful, but it was when the buffet was revealed that I noticed something odd. The food looked eerily familiar, like identical to what I had for my wedding, except for a little more dried out and sad. I found an opening and went to ask my mum about it, where she happily told me she saved a fortune by unfreezing the food from my wedding to serve to the guests now. I was horrified and immediately voiced my concerns about safety. She got upset and said I was acting like a snob and should be happy the food wasn't going to waste. I argued that it was never going to be wasted, but she wouldn't hear it. I didn't want to make a scene but was worried about people getting sick, so snuck off to see my sister. She was horribly embarrassed, mentioned that my mum said something about saving money but didn't question it because she didn't want to foot the bill like I had. She told me not to eat the food and thanked me for the warning. From there, my husband and I discreetly started telling some guests to be wary about the food, and the rest of the night was fine. My mum caught some flack for being cheap, but I've also been catching heat. Some of our relatives have been saying that I intentionally made my family look bad and the food was fine as it was frozen and then defrosted for the wedding. They say no one would have known if I didn't make a stink over it. I don't know if I did anything wrong. I could use some help and would like to know if I should apologize. Am I the arsehole? Edits. I'm getting a lot of repeat questions, so I figured I'd post here. 1. My wedding had about 200 guests. My husband has a large family and we intentionally planned for more people to come. I knew a lot wouldn't for one reason or another, so we knew we'd likely have leftovers and wanted to be smart about it. 2. My sister and her husband have been together for about 10 years. They recently decided to get married for tax reasons and wanted to do a courthouse wedding. But my mum begged her to let her do an event. So she had a small wedding with only 50 people. My sister hates planning and people, so she let my mum do everything. 3. Have you all ever heard of garage freezers? They're super common where I'm from. And we're going to start straight in the comments with this one with Tempting Penguin 369 who says not the arsehole. Oh my god. It's not that it was stored frozen for 8 months. It's that it was sat on a buffet table for God knows how long at your wedding, then in your mother's car before it was frozen. This is not only tacky but super dangerous. Kiwi Bear says, yeah, that's a no from me and I'm not a germaphobe. I've pushed the limits a few times, but just for myself and never anyone else. Even frozen things have a shelf life. Your sister does not want her wedding to be one remembered for her guests being glued to the toilet with a garbage can in between their legs. Not the arsehole. Whatever and Breathe says not the arsehole. It's cheap and kind of disrespectful to guests. It says, you are only worth our leftovers. And dare I say, think how the family of the new husband must feel. At the end of the day, your mum went against your wishes, had no care on how it would reflect on your sister/husband, and sounds extremely controlling, taking over yours and sister's wedding. What did our new husband think of that? If you ever have children, I dare say things might get even worse. She wanted to save money with no regards for potential health and safety. She got caught out. Code and Bite says, not the arsehole. I've worked at jobs that require food handling, and the bottom line is that it's not safe for food to be between 42 and 139 degrees Fahrenheit for an extended period of time. Before the food was frozen, it was sitting out on the buffet table for hours, then sitting in a car for who knows how long. While it's true that professional food handling standards are especially strict, serving food that's been sitting at room temperature for hours and hours before being frozen for 8 months and then left out again is just asking to make people sick. And one more comment from Capo Explains, who says, not the arsehole, 8 months in the freezer. After sitting out all night on a buffet, then riding home in the car. You weren't calling your mum out for being cheap, you were protecting people from a genuine food safety hazard. You're absolutely right, people could have gotten extremely sick. Your mum should be thankful that she only got flack for being cheap and not for being so cheap she damn near killed your sister's wedding guests. I am being a little dramatic with that last bit, but honestly, it's not unthinkable food could have botulism in it or other serious foodborne illnesses. Better not to risk it. Ordering Domino's for a wedding instead of having a buffet is being cheap. Putting out 8-month-old leftovers at a wedding is a biohazard. course, I disagree with that last little bit. I don't think ordering Domino's for a buffet would be that cheap. I think it'd be bloody expensive. And to be fair, I'd be quite happy with pizza for a, for a buffet as well. But obviously, I totally agree on all the whole biohazard stuff. And I honestly can't blame you for telling the guests at the wedding about it, because yeah, what's the alternative here? That a whole bunch of people get sick. Did mum just not think about this at all? Does she not care about safety food standards? Does she view it in a completely different way? And not only that, it's incredibly embarrassing as well for the sister. I know that's not the main point. The safety of the people is the main point, of course, but how embarrassing is that for the sister to know this information circulating around her wedding as well? And whilst I have no problem with leftovers at all, I think when you go to a wedding, there's a certain level of expectation to do with food. I hope they don't sound too snobbish, but I think there is the expectation of that you're having freshly prepared food then and there. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Picture yourself at this wedding. You're just being told by OP, you know, that food was frozen 8 months ago and has now turned up at that table in front of you. How would you react? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.